الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه وأزواجه أجمعين أما بعد. Quote, the Jews were expelled from Palestine in 70-71 AD by the pagan Romans. Ever since that time, the Jews never had any ties or connections to Palestine and never lived there until Britain created the conflict in Palestine when it promised the Jews a homeland in Palestine in the Balfour Declaration of 1917. The British promised Zionist leaders to assist in the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, where hundreds of thousands of Palestinian Christians and Muslims lived. Therefore, it is not a case of two peoples who were expelled and displaced. It is the case of one people residing in Palestine since before the Bible was written by the Jews, and groups of unrelated people who claim to be Israelites but who lived in many countries for 1800 years, excluding Palestine. My name is Jalal Abualrub, Jalal, Jalal Abualrub. Our website is islamlife.com. There you will find the book I just quoted, page 268. Holy Wars, Crusades, Jihad, the third edition. More than 400 pages of comparative religion between the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran and Prophet Muhammad's Sunnah practices with regards to warfare. So many topics here. I encourage you to read this book. So much information there. More than 400 pages, references, resources. Islamlife.com. Get the book. I just read to you a part of this book. Jalal Abualrub, Jalalabualrub, Islamlife.com. I am a Muslim from Palestine, from the West Bank, the city of Jenin. My mission in this life is to explain and defend Islam, which makes it also my mission to talk about Muslim causes all over the world, not only Palestine. So we are having here this discussion. The year 70-71 AD, Roman Empire, in control of that area. Jews, at that time they were mostly Israelites, out. For 18 centuries, the Jews never lived in Palestine, had nothing to do with Palestine, nothing, no connection, no property, Nothing, like nothing for 18 centuries. Maybe they were dreaming in that quote they keep quoting, that God gave Palestine for the seed of Abraham forever. Yet, when they were reading this passage over the time, it doesn't seem that any of them uh, said, if God promised it, how come we're living outside? We're not in it. For 18 centuries, they never lived there. So this is to start and to remind you, this is history. You cannot erase it. Nobody can erase it. So it is history. So the Roman Empire, pagan at the time, expelled the Jews. The Jews had nothing to do with Palestine for all this time. They lived wherever they lived, and other people embraced Judaism, but they're not Israelites. So in the 20th century, they started coming back to Palestine. In the beginning, they were oppressed, and the Palestinians, Christian and Muslim, welcomed them as usual, oppressed people. Then they started coming and coming and coming and coming, buying land, then invading the land until they became the rulers over most of Palestine. Who helped in this situation? They have been saying, it's our land, we are the seed of Abraham. The Arabs are also the seed of Abraham, whether the Jews like it or not, it doesn't matter. Semite doesn't mean anything. The Arabs are the largest Semitic group in the world today, have been for a very long time. They said it's ours, God gave it to us, seed of Abraham, forever. Forever minus 18 centuries, that's not forever. This is a false hope that they kept dreaming about until the Zionists came and organized things for them. Now, until here, we understand. The Brits. So they were given a mandate over Palestine by the League of Nations. In 1917, the Minister of the British Empire, Balfour, made a declaration, 1917, 1917, about 1800 years. They promised Zionist leaders to assist in the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. The Brits. Let me say this. Among all the European invaders of other lands, the Brits were the most understanding of the local situations. The Dutch, the French, whatever, they just kill and destroy everything. The Brits, they do killing and destroying and stealing, but they came up with this idea, divide and rule. So everywhere they went, and at one point they were the largest empire on earth, really. Everywhere they went and then left, they left behind them by intention problems between those areas they occupied before, so that the people keep fighting. And the examples are numerous. Let's talk about Palestine. Now their mandate, 1917. Palestinians have been living there since the Bible and before the Bible. And the Brits said to the Jews, hey, we will help you establish a homeland in Palestine, but that home has people who own the land, so we'll help you. This is the promise. Balfour, a damn criminal, and they brought us this disaster. In the meantime, the Arabs were weak and divided. So many Arab lands occupied by the Brits, so nobody could resist except for Palestinians. Soon after, they realized the plan, that this is a replacement plan. Plain and simple. A replacement plan. Plain and simple. And the Brits, just experts at causing trouble. So they started this conflict more than 100 years ago, 110 years ago. That's the conflict. Conflict did not start October 7, 2023. It didn't. It started 100 years before that, or more, by the Brits. People living there, it's their land, has been their land. The Bible mentioned even the towns and the people who were living there. Not only the Philistines, but there were people living there before the Bible. And Abraham, the prophet, alayhi salam, we believe in him, the messenger of Allah, one of the most honorable men of all time, is the father of the Arabs and the Israelites. Note what I said here, not the Jews, Israelites. The Arabs through Ishmael, his son, and Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, the blessings of Allah on him, is a direct descendant of Ishmael. And you have Ishaq, the blessings of Allah on him, the father of Yaqub, Jacob, Israel, and the children of Israel through him. We believe in the prophets of Allah. But there were people living there before and during and after. And the Arabs, largely today, are descendants of Abraham and Ismail. Of course, the intermarriages in the countless, we can't count them even how many they married from other nations. That's beautiful. This is Allah's creation. But you can't exclude us by saying the seed of Abraham. Seed of Abraham is not, maybe a half of the Jews today are not Israelites. That's not the seed of Abraham. We are. So we are entitled to this land if you still hold that promise as being true. If you're saying it's only about the Jews, then you're not in it. Because a half of the Jews today might not be Israelites. They would not test the blood to make sure. So the Brits, they created this problem. And they will carry on their shoulders the kings and the prime ministers and the foreign ministers and whatever. They will carry the sin on their shoulders. Especially since, I want you to understand, the Europeans started expelling the Jews long before. The Brits expelled the Jews. Inquisitions, Spain, and what people call today Portugal, expelled the Jews or forced them to become Catholic. Other areas in Western Europe expelled the Jews, and they kept killing them. It's not only the pogroms in the Russian areas and Ukraine that killed hundreds of thousands of Jews. Throughout history, they killed the Jews, their favorite target uh, after favorite target number one, Muslims. So they did all this bloodshed and created all these troubles. And today we have this situation. They have been helping the Jews establish themselves in Palestine. The Arabs had no access to weapons. They couldn't help the Palestinians who had less access to weapons than the Arabs had, which was zero. They were occupied, the Arabs, around that area, and they couldn't do anything to help. But meanwhile, the British authorities, they were helping the Jews acquire weapons. The Zionists were collecting people, money, weapons, and they worked freely under the Brits. Those people, the Brits, such a small nation, so much trouble all over the world. Unbelievable. So they helped them, allowed them to do everything. And as usual, those Jews, I'm not talking about the believers from the Israelites who believed in their prophets, we believe in them. They had nothing to do with these. Maybe half of them are not even Israelites, have nothing to do with these people. So we're talking about the wicked ones, those Jews. As usual, as they did to the Ottoman Empire, they call it Ottoman, who also accepted those who were expelled from Europe into the Islamic State, Ottoman Empire. They ended up controlling the government and doing awful things to other people to stain the Ottomans and the Muslims, such as the wars against the surrounding areas, expelling people, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that again, because at the time, the authorities in the Ottoman Empire were not Islamist. Some of them were Muslims, some of them were Jews. Some of them were Jews who pretended to be Muslim. You see, as usual, they thank the people who helped them, and they do what the Arabs used to say: سمن كلبك يأكلك. Fatten your dog, and the dog will end up eating you. So they thank the Ottomans, they thank the Brits and the Europeans. It's not only the Brits, but they're the ones who brought the disaster. And Europe came together and said, hey, finally, we could get rid of most of the Jews, send them there, let them fight with the Muslims, and they will give them money, support, and somebody will defeat the other sooner or later. So it's not only the Brits. So they started actually attacking British authority representatives in Palestine, assassinating them, exploding hotels and things like that. The same people who allowed you to steal the land and kill the people and invade an area that you had nothing to do with for at a minimum of 18 centuries, for maybe half of them never. Their ancestors were not Israelites, period. That's it. So they were thanking the British authorities by attacking them. If you go on the net, don't spend too much time. Look for warrants the British authorities in Palestine had for Israeli leaders who became leaders after for being terrorists. Begin and others who became prime minister later on. I mentioned all this in the book. Get the book. Uh, Allah blessed me and my family to produce more than 70 books so far, all in English, all about defending and explaining Islam, and thousands of articles. So we have this YouTube channel. Put my name, Jalal Abualrub, Islam Life, YouTube channel, Facebook. islamlife@gmail.com is my email, and islamlife.com is our website. So we make research. And we mentioned here about the countless number of Israeli leaders from Ukraine, from wherever, I don't know how they became Israelites. I have no idea. Israelites, and they were wanted for the British authorities for being terrorists. Yeah, the original terrorists. Read about history. Then the Brits say, hey, it's too much. And they left. When they left this invading, unrelated groups of people, devastating the local people who did not do them any wrong. Palestinians did not do the Jews any wrong, or the Brits, or the Europeans. And these people who killed the Jews by the millions, I didn't mention the Holocaust, because before that there were many Holocausts that the Europeans, especially when they became Christian, did against the Jews, because they said, you killed our God. Yeah. They left, and they left the Palestinians unarmed, no support, nothing, to face their fate with these invaders who are devoid of humanity. Believing in a book they know they wrote with their own hands, their ancestors, and it doesn't make any sense. In it, they claim God said to the Israelites, go to this town, kill every man, woman, child, suckling infant, sheep, donkey, whatever, oxen. And they said, hey, we'll do it. And they did it. And they're doing it. And in Gaza now, those Europeans who brought this disaster to us, and then the Americans who had nothing to do with this conflict, they stuck their nose in it. And now they're doing the biggest support for this extensive, systematic devastation, killing, expulsion of Palestinians from their homeland, including Christians. They don't care about the Christians in Palestine. So these people are the ones who supported the same nation that they accused over the centuries, you killed our God, and they killed them. In this book, we mentioned that the first crusade, Holy Wars, crusades, jihad, the first crusade to go to the Holy Land to attack the pagan Muslims who believe in one God, while the Christians believe in three, one and three, one, three and one, and one of them died, the other two didn't know what was going on, whatever. They said, they wanted to go through Europe. They said, hey, we still have our old customers here. Let's visit them. And they started by killing the Jews in Europe. Even the king of Hungary attacked them because they devastated his area, killed the Jews there. Yeah, these are the people who are pretending today that they support the Jews and the Holocaust. Well, you did it. We didn't do it. I'm a Palestinian. I had nothing to do with it. I don't support it. Period. We don't allow anybody or tell them you can kill women and children, no matter who they are. Period. Just that's it. You did it. Then you said, hey, I'm going to pay for my crime. Go to that land. We'll give you all what you need. So this is the Brits. This is Palestine. This is the Jews. And October 7 ain't it, as they say. 1917 declaration. Before that, the Jews were already coming and devastating the local population and killing, expelling They just kill and kill and kill. Look at the settlers today. Look at their faces. It's like they have no connection to the human race. It's just angry. We didn't do anything. It's not your land. You're not. You can't prove you are Israelite. You went against Jesus, and therefore you are despicable disbelievers. You don't believe in anything. You just want to steal land that doesn't belong to you and kill the people, men, women, and children. So if you're thinking Gaza, 100,000 were killed since October 7, this book mentioned Sharon. Yeah, that Ariel Sharon, who was prime minister before Netanyahu betrayed him, then he became prime minister. Sharon attacked Gaza and killed about 30,000 people in the middle 1950s. Read it. It's history. You can't erase it. You can't come and say October, October, October. Yeah. Those Christians and those Jews, look what they do to each other, and they know that it's all a lie. Those Christians are the ones who threw this disaster at us to pay for their crimes. We didn't do it. They did it. So, from early on, the Europeans, especially after Hitler failed in his mission to finish the work of the Lord. It's in this book. Hitler said, I'm finishing the work of the Lord Jesus. Read it, read the book. We spoke about this. We have thousands of articles also on Facebook, and we spoke about this many times. Islam is our mission. This is number one. And because we are Muslims, we think about other Muslims. And Palestine has a primary part in our hearts and the hearts of all Muslims. 1917, disaster. Formally, until today. And they have been giving the Jews weapons, money, support, and more weapons, and more money, intelligence. Steal the weapons, technology, whatever you want. Habibi, we love you very much. You killed our God. We killed maybe about 10 million Jews throughout history. Hey, we love you very much. Thank you. Yeah. So, as usual, the Jews, as they thanked the Ottomanis, the Muslims, for allowing them to come when they were running for their lives from Europe, and then they literally overthrew the Islamic government there, the Jews. Yeah, the Crimea Jews. Well, don't act like you don't know about it. If you don't, history, tick, 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 tick. Let the fingers work on something useful for a change. They also thanked the British. They started killing them. And the British said, yeah, we are occupying India. You know, how big India is? Okay, did I fit? Yeah, Palestine is this big, but we can't control this area. So we're leaving. And they left knowing what's going to happen to the Palestinians, the Arabs, the Muslims, and the Christians. They didn't care. And then we have all these wars because of the Jews. If Britain did not help the Jews come to that area, we wouldn't have October 7 or October 307. We wouldn't have. You brought it. So British government, the last one, what's his name? Starmer. These people have no personality. I have no idea what he did. He just has a stone face, doesn't do anything, do something. But when it came to the votes, helped him, helped many of his party become members of parliament, then they immediately It's not like after 2 years, immediately started betraying the Muslims of Britain and supporting the Jews. This is just like, I can understand it. You say they killed your God, so you don't like them. Don't tell me you like them. Jesus, as we proved, said about the Jews that they're vipers, Jesus, swine, the children of the devil. You have the children of the devil? Anyway, so he resigned, the prime minister. We have a new one. I have no idea what he's doing other than collecting the benefits, maybe standing in line for the insurance, work insurance. Anyway, so they thanked the Brits, killed many of them, they left. They could have captured every Jew in Palestine and expelled them back to where they came from. Any S-hole in Europe they came from, but they didn't. So they had India, you were able to control India, but you couldn't control Palestine. Yeah. Now, the British did not attend the war that Trump incited by the weapons, manufacturing companies, among the largest companies in the world, and Israel, Netanyahu, to attack Iran. They didn't want to help. So they're attacking them there, saying things about them. Even Iran saying they're going to hit the UK and parts of Europe where they have American bases. Really? You want to do that? Yeah. So instead of having these enemies, I would like to have a lot more enemies. Hey, hit me. I'm hiding anyway. You're hitting the Iranian people anyway. We didn't do you any wrong. Oppressed by the mullahs anyway. It's all madness. So the British stance was a little bit, recognizing what's happening in Gaza, how the Jews implemented the Old Testament. They wrote it with their own hands for this purpose, to kill every man, woman, child, suckling infant, bomb schools, hospitals, everyone, anyone, in a small area. That they don't have weapons, thanks to Hamas. They didn't have any weapons to defend themselves because Hamas is worried that if I give them weapons, they might overthrow me. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. In any case, so the British are maybe a little half and half because the Muslims there voted for them to be betrayed for the number 101. Every time they get betrayed, they go back to the same stupid party. They can't do anything independently. And so they didn't side with the Palestinians. It's just not as what the Jews expected. Complete loyalty. Why do they have loyalty to you? So Netanyahu, Nitin in Arabic stinks. Yahoo. Yeah. He has another name. I would like to call him, the original name. I'd like to call him by Netanyahu. Said, yeah, it's the Islamic Republic of Britain. We don't want it because these people are enemies of humanity, the Brits, except for those who, of course, reject what they did. But they are the enemies of humanity. And the devastation they caused Arab and Muslim lands, unbelievable. They're not Islamic nothing. The Muslims there have some kind of freedom compared to Western Europe, but it's less than the freedom Muslims have here in America. That's a lot to say, really. Millions of Muslims in Britain, and the policy of Britain, no, the United Kingdom of Britain and Northern Ireland, and a couple of islands somewhere. Falkland, they don't even mention them. Anyway, so the Muslims have no role in the government there except in some local issues, but they can't make any party there recognize, number one, Palestinians, Christian and Muslim, we apologize. It's those awful people who came before us who did this disaster. Number two, we support the Palestinians because we brought the disaster to them. And Britain doesn't fear Israel. They have at least 2.5 times more nuclear weapons. They have an empire still, and Israel is this big. Israel doesn't have the resources to live on its own. They have to keep taking from Western Europe and especially from America. So you can't compare the two. And Iran, the mullahs are cowards. You're not going to attack UK because then you invite NATO. Is that what you like? Hey, we're having 1,000 people hit us. Let's make them 1,000,000. Those mullahs, they don't care. They're not losing. They're hiding. And the people are being killed there. Yes, it's all madness, but the Brits are responsible for the disaster that came our way, and in Kashmir, and in other areas. I will never forget, because I'm a Muslim. All Muslims to me are the same. And Palestine belongs to Muslims, whether the Jews like it or not. So he's calling Britain, Islamic Republic of Britain. We don't want it. You keep it. They're not going to help Muslims do anything. And those, of course, public officials in the UK. You know, Netanyahu, what he's saying, shut up. Start paying reparations for the Palestinians. Yeah. Everyone who was killed, expelled, injured, who lost their land, yeah, pay reparation for what you did. Because it's your sin. The sin of Christianity. Israel is the sin of Christianity. And this little bug, Netanyahu, you're calling the master who created your whole beloved state of invaders, yeah, who are mostly not Israelites, maybe. You're attacking those people. They created you, yeah, stupid. They created this evil. And you're, yeah, سمن كلبك يأكلك. Yeah, feed your dog, and the dog will end up eating you. Yeah, that's what this. But they can't eat Britain. Britain can eat Israel, but they're not going to do it because they are cowards. They have been cowards. They're still cowards. They won't admit what they did to us. We didn't cause them any trouble. You came to all these areas. You stole, acted like a king and queen and all that stuff. You stole so much. Why don't you say thank you very much? No, they left with troubles everywhere, and they created our trouble. We will never give up. That's the news that I would like to tell Netanyahu and the UK and Europe and Trump and Canada and Australia and New Zealand, because all these countries stood by the Jews and supported them against us. And we didn't do any of these countries anything wrong. So, Islamic Republic of Britain, shut up. You're a little bug, that a leech that lives on the body of Western Europe and the bigger body of America. A leech. So you're sucking blood and water and money and medicine, technology, weapons. We need more. What are you going to do with the more? Kill 300,000 Palestinians? What, 1,000,000? Because as long as the Muslims from Palestine live, it's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you that I would wake up wake up one day and tell my family, here is the map of Palestine, no more Palestine, Israel. Yeah, it's not going to happen. You are temporary there, and history will remember how wicked you behaved and how truthful to the Old Testament you were. In any case, IslamLife.com, we have a 501c charity organization. If you'd like to support our mission, do that, because we're not receiving support from anybody except individuals. Be among those individuals and get this book, a PDF there, because you know what? This is the only copy I have because we couldn't afford printing the book. So much information here. All thanks and praises are due to Allah.